Hello and welcome to Engineering 1201. So this is going to be just a real quick overview of the syllabus. Keep track of all the syllabi of all your classes. If you ever have trouble transferring to a university, you can get out your syllabi, show what the class SLOs are, and that'll make the transfer process that much easier. Okay, that said, we're going to go through the syllabus. See info. Hopefully you've used D2L before. If you haven't, have any trouble with it, there's a bunch of tutoring centers, or just give me a call if anything gives you trouble. And we're going to talk about the big 1201 project. This is the funnest part, can be the most frustrating part, but also the funnest part of 1201. So hopefully you can get a really good team to work together with, and that's all going to be happening this week. So you'll be spending some time in the discussion forum, getting to know everybody else in class, and forming up into those project groups this week, and that's super important for the whole semester. So hopefully you can jump in and get started on that quickly. Okay, here is, so I am Jamie. Hello, I'm Jamie. Here's my email. Use your D2L email. If you use like Gmail or something, it goes to spam, and if you send an email and you haven't heard back, resend it. Phone is probably most reliable, so you can text me. If you get stuck on something, just take a screenshot of what you're stuck on and text it over, and then I can actually write on it and say, oh, you're missing a sign error, you have this, and text it back. So that's really fast to just text me. Here is our advisor. She is out until after Labor Day. She had some family stuff to deal with. Sharon Kenmore is taking over for her. So if you have like classes that you're trying to fix right now, which you can before the official day of record, please let me know or Sharon Kenmore, because Nicole is gone for another about week and a half. But when she's gone, she's amazing. So she'll be really good to have when you're getting ready to sign up for like your spring classes and stuff. Here is our department dean. She's another amazing, amazing person. Here's my schedule for the semester. So I have some office hours penciled in here. If I am not in my office, I will be in CLB 113 or 114. So between 113, 114, and 100, just run around. You'll find me somewhere. And if you can't find me, just give me a call. If these office hours don't work for you, I'm also here Tuesday, Thursday afternoons. So like if you want to pop by after class at 7:20, let me know, or even before class. I tend to get there pretty close before class. So if before class works better for you, just send me a text and I can pop over there a little bit early. Sometimes it's a lot easier to just get together face to face, go through something. It's a lot faster than texting back and forth or something. So yeah, if anything's giving you trouble, would love to see it. And we just usually hang out in an open computer lab. So this is, don't think of it in terms of office hours. Think of it as just an open computer lab where you can come, hang out with your team, work on stuff. And please do take advantage of our makerspace and computer lab. So let me know when you need these rooms open. Nicholas is over there a lot, or Angela can let you in, so we can get these, and these are really great working areas. So just let me know what times would be best for you. Okay, required versus recommended. So required, you will need a computer with internet access. If you're having trouble with your computer, it crashes, hey, it happens. There are open computer labs. So if your computer at home is giving you trouble, just come in. We're not calling it a library anymore. The Learning Commons area is really amazing. And each of the Lone Star College campuses have open computer labs and libraries and stuff. So please come in and use those. They're great study areas. So meeting with a project group, it really is best if you can meet with them in person. I know that's not possible for everybody, and think about that as you're reading the discussion forums and deciding and getting into groups to see who would be best to work with. So if you're like out of the country or something and you have to work online, then you'll find a few other people that have to work online too, and that's, you know, that it works. This is an online class, but if there's any way that you happen to be local and you can work in person with some people local, that tends to be more efficient. So look at to see not just what people's ideas are, but what their schedules are and kind of what part of town they're in. And we might even suggest, hey, I'm by this Starbucks, or I'm by this library, or this would be a good place to meet by my place. And maybe you can find some people that, you know, you're not driving across Timbuktu for them. Okay, so the tests. We do proctored tests. These can be taken in a testing center, which it'll be open all week. So it's not like you have to come in at a certain time during a certain date. The test will be there all week. You can come in whenever you want to take it. If you cannot get to a Lone Star College testing center, and the testing centers are free for you to come in, you just grab your ID, come on in. I will also have some online proctoring. Now this is through a third party, so it does cost like around $30, I think. It depends on how many hours you want to take a test. I don't like to time tests, so like if you come into the testing center, it's not going to be timed. If you opt for the online proctoring, you have to schedule that and the number of hours it's going to take, and depending on how many hours it takes, it's going to cost more, but it's not through Lone Star. This is actually another service, but this helps with our articulation agreements and accreditation to say, oh, we do proctored tests, so that kind of makes the class legitimate, you know. So it's a good thing, but don't stress out about the test too much. I will give you a practice exam before you take it. So the review is a practice. You'll see the format, you'll see what it is, and it's a very small percentage of your grade. So only like 15% of the class is midterm and 15% is final. The big chunk of your grade is going to be your project, your homework, and then just getting online and participating in the discussion forums, and you might find a fun like engineering field trip to go on through the semester. So, but tests are just part of the requirements that we do. Okay, recommended materials. I do not require a textbook. There's some intro books like this if you want to see one. All of the textbooks are now in the library, and there's also a copy machine in the library that makes it super, super easy to copy textbooks. So come by the Kingwood Library if you want to check out a book, and know that this is available for all of your classes, not just engineering classes, that you can check out a book. It's on reserve, so you can't like take it out of the library, but you can check it out for a few hours. And then you have to see these really awesome new laser printers that you just lay the book out, and it will take a curved page and turn it into a flat page. So it actually has like a 3D scanner that scans the top of it, and it's super fast. So you scan it in on this printer, and you just bring a little USB drive, or you can email it. It turns it into a PDF. So you can take any book in that library, quickly turn it into a PDF, and boom, you've got your textbook. So yeah, I don't want anybody running around spending hundreds of dollars on books when most of the information we use is free online. So, and it's updated online, so we'll be using a lot of really fun online websites. But if you want to see a book, sometimes it's nice to just see what's out there, and that is the book we put on there, but it's not required. Okay, so here's a little bit of the schedule. 16 weeks is going to go by fast. Even though this is just a 2 credit hour class, there's actually a lot of SLO, student learning outcomes, and things that are going to be covered in here. So kind of keep track of deadlines and work together in teams. It's a lot. One person doing this all on their own is going to feel awful, but if you can learn to take tasks and split them up, and we're going to go through some project management techniques that are going to help you split this up and do it correctly. So starting out, we're going to let everybody get to know one another in the discussion forums. The sooner you post, the more people will read your post. Generally, the first person to post gets the most attention. So keep that in mind. I'll give out the first Penguin Award for whoever gets the ball rolling on these forums. So go ahead and introduce yourself in the hello post. Where are you transferring to? What are you majoring in? What's your hobbies? What are you into? This includes putting up a profile picture so that, again, it's just good to have a face to put to a name so you can kind of see who else is in the class. And I'm hoping that online or in person, you really get to know the other people in your class. We've got some concept quizzes. So this week is the engineering method, which is super important. Engineering method is important as like the scientific method. So, and I think the engineering method is better than the scientific method. And this is the steps that a lot of people go through from start to end of your project. So it'll start getting you thinking about how to organize the project and getting through to the end of it. We're also going to have a project idea exchange. This is also in the discussion forums, where everyone in the class is going to invent something. And you're going to post your best ideas and then combine that with some of the ideas in other people's in class. Now, the final group project, they might not pick your idea, but keep those for later use. So you're going to be in a lot of engineering classes that are project-based, whether it's programming or CAD, all the way up to your senior design capstone project. If you go to grad school, that's a project. So that's what engineering is. It's a project. You invent something, you create something, you build it, you test it. So what if they use your idea or not, keep like a little notebook full of your ideas for use in future classes if you don't use it in this. But come up with something fun that you would enjoy using. So when you're thinking through what your hobbies are, what you enjoy doing, and that's hopefully what your career is, that this isn't just, responsible to make money or whatever, that you're finding something that's really fun that you're going to enjoy. Okay, so you're going to decide on teams and kind of what ideas you might start pursuing here. Next week, and I'm going to put next week's content up too, just so you can start thinking about it early and now. But next week we're going to put together the decision table and timeline, and this is where we really solidify what group you're in and organize who is doing what task, who is a project manager, who's in charge of research and development, who's doing testing, who's looking at advertising. And so we're going to put together, and these are some tools that are used in industry. So you'll be looking at how industry does it, and we're going to be organizing our projects the same way and putting together a proposal. The first lab, so part of this class is an intro to the different fields of engineering. So we'll go through electrical engineering, some mechanical engineering, a little bit of chemistry, and through these very simple labs, you'll just get an introduction to some of the tools you should know. Like everybody's going to kind of expect you to know how to use Excel. There's a lot more to Excel than just the tables. We'll actually be doing some Visual Basic in there. So it's a programming language. And if you're going to start doing some programming, Basic is the most basic program out there. It's very simple, and I'll give you example programs where you're not writing it from scratch. You're just adding on to programs that are already there. So just a quick intro to like if statements, some loops, and how to set up some programs for filling in tables, and that will be also an intro to electrical engineering. We'll then go through how computers work, so transistors, make some logic gates, and after this will be the midterm. And again, I will give you a practice test beforehand, and it will be available an entire week, so you'll have plenty of time to hopefully make it into a testing center. But if you can't do that, there'll be the online proctoring option too for just a little bit more. Second half class, we're going to be doing the disciplines paper. So this is where you really research what you want to be when you grow up. What do you want to major in? What university do you want to transfer to? What scholarships are available for you? What internships are available to you? And, look at U.S. Bureau of Labor statistics. Look at what companies you're interested in and where those are located and what research groups are available. So just get all of those little details worked out now, because you don't want to take a bunch of classes that you don't need. So just really go through all the details and think through what you want to major in. Okay, then we're going to be doing some mechanics labs, ethics. So this is part of your PE if you take your engineering training, your fundamentals of engineering exam. So we'll look at product recalls, and you'll look at some disasters in your engineering field. So that's always kind of an interesting, a little bit scary, but interesting unit. We'll end with some more kinematics, and this goes into both calculus, physics, mechanics classes, and I know calculus is not a prerequisite for this, but it's just a little bit of an intro for some of the graphs that you'll see over and over and over again in a lot of classes, and again, getting used to some Excel, some math software. The very end will be open to really finish up your project. So through all of these extra labs and assignments in the background, that project will be going on. So you'll be building something that you've invented and testing it and tweaking it, and it's just one semester. So, you know, hopefully this is going to be fun and not stressful. And then final exam week. Finals week has a little bit different schedule than the rest of the semester, so just to warn you for other classes, you might want to check ahead of time and see what that schedule is before you go. ODR is the 9th. If you get into the first few days of class and something is just not working, you say, oh man, this is not what I thought I signed up for, you can get out of class before ODR and it will not show up on your transcript. It's not a W, it's not incomplete, like it's not there at all. So really pay attention that first week of class and make sure you signed up for what you thought you signed up for, and get out before the 9th if you need to. Change your schedule around before the 9th if you need to. MDR, midday roll. So this is another thing we have, ODR and MDR, where we're tracking attendance. This means you need to sign in to the class website several times a week and spend time opening up all of the content. So some of the things like veterans require that you complete at least 60%. So I think there's a couple people that might sign up because they're required to for visas or this or that, and you are actually required to complete the classwork, and if you don't, you get kicked out of class. Okay, W Day is November the 11th. Hopefully you understand about the 6 W's. There's going to be a syllabus concept quiz that goes through some tricks. So like if you do have to take a W, the reason you took that W is really important. So if it was like change in work schedule or you had some health problems that semester, that is not going to count against you. That's not going to be one of your 6 W's. So make sure if you do have to use any of these guys that you understand the system and how it works, so you're giving yourself the best scenario when you go through this stuff if you're going to do that. Okay, reports and presentations. You're going to have a choice here to either write a report or submit your idea to a website, and there are examples for both of those scenarios at the end. There's going to be a presentation, so 5-minute pitch video. If you look at crowdsourcing sites like Kickstarter or Indiegogo, projects that have a pitch video do a lot better. So you have to learn how to sell your idea and take ownership of what you've created and invented, not just, write a report. And videos are really good. So this is something fun, hopefully, that you'll enjoy. Do that with again your entire group. Okay, so talked already a little bit about your project. That's going to be 30% of your grade. It is an individual grade even though it is a group project. So every piece of the project will have individual components, and we'll have it organized and mapped out so that it is very clear what person is responsible for what piece of the project, and everyone is going to be putting their name next to their contribution. So if I don't see your name next to, I wrote this section of the report, I did this piece of research, I built this part of the project, I did this testing, if I don't see your name showing up as actually creating anything, you will not get a grade. So, and we'll go through the Gantt timeline and decision tables and organizational techniques to make sure that everybody has something to do at all times through this project, so that equally distributing the workload is a management thing that everyone has to kind of learn how to do. So working in teams is very much a big part of engineering, and organizing tasks and getting schedules together, that's part of the project, and we're going to make sure that hopefully working in a team is going to work out well for you. And there's going to be team evaluation forms, one at the midterm, one at the final, and continually check back with me. Say, oh, I haven't heard from Bob in a while. Do you know what's going on with him? Most important part, communicate, okay? Even if something does come up, please let your team know to say, hey, my grandmother died, I'm going to be out of commission for a couple days, you might have to rearrange tasks so someone else gets this done in time. And usually people are pretty understanding, but you can rearrange things so that if you get behind in one area, you can get caught up. But the important part is just let everybody else in your team know where you are and what's going on. People generally won't get angry at you if you just communicate. If you're silent and they don't hear anything at all from you, that's when people get mad. They're like, hey, I haven't heard anything from him and there was nothing. That's when people get mad. If you just talk and explain whatever situation it is, things will go smoothly. Okay, we've got a makerspace, 2 3D printers. North Harris has a makerspace. There's a couple of just community makerspaces in Houston, so those are really great places to go hang out and work. This is Nicholas, by the way. He'll be in our lab and he can help out with 3D printing stuff. There are contests, so check out some of these contests. If you want to join one of those, Instructables usually has the best ones, so that's fun to turn your project into actually a contest entry. You can also do civic engagement, so if you're, well, you know, any kind of volunteer work is counted as civic engagement, and that will get you a little note on your transcript and a certificate. It has to be 15 hours a semester, but that's another interesting thing that you can maybe incorporate into your project if you want to. Okay. Make sure you have 1314. Prerequisites are important. You will actually get your transcript audited, and your degree is null and void if you don't take stuff in the right order, which, I mean, that makes sense, right? If someone takes Cal 3 and they haven't passed algebra yet, you say, well, what kind of a Cal 3 class is that if they don't even know algebra? So anyways, there's an order for everything, and just follow the prerequisites. 2 credit hours, 1 hour lecture, 1 hour lab, about 6 hours a week. Time commitment here. So think about your work schedule and just plan on now putting that time committee in. Okay, so I think that's about it. So here's the learning outcomes. This is what, when you're transferring to other schools, and Intro to Engineering is one of those standard classes that every engineering degree kind of has as part of their curriculum. And these are the SLOs you'll find across the board at all the different universities. So we're going to do an ethics section. Technical communication is not MLA format. We're going to go through some APA format and how to use some of the features in Word that are a little bit different than your liberal arts classes. So the engineering method, design process, we're going to do some actual labs where it's not just on the computer. You'll be physically building things and making things, not just virtual labs, but real labs, and looking at, you know, some history and future outlooks for engineering. And the biggie, you're going to be working in a team to invent and actually physically build something. And again, this is just make it fun, recycled materials. I don't want anyone spending a bunch of money on this. And there's a few examples here coming up that I can show you of some past projects that have been done. And also basic computer literacy. So that's why we're going to get into just a little bit of programming, a little bit of Excel, how to use some of the formatting features in Word, and some basics. Computers are becoming so user-friendly now that it's really easy to jump into their help and figure out what you need on the fly. So we'll be doing some of that as well. So 10%, sign in to the website often. I can see how many minutes you spent on everything, how many content areas you opened, how many discussion posts you've authored. So this will be based on what I can see you're doing in D2L, how often you're signing in. So just get yourself on a schedule that you're signing in to the class website every week. We have homework and labs and D2L quizzes that are individual. And then the project, which again will have individual grades, but you'll be turning these in as a group. So tables and the pre-lab and the proposals and the project report, the presentation, team. There's quite a few little components that go into this project by the end of it, and I should see your name on everything that's being turned into the group folders. And then the tests, 30% 15 midterm, 15 final, which like you could totally fail the test and still get a 70% in the class. So it's not a heavily based on the test for this one. It's heavily based on your project and getting through the labs, doing a good job on the concept quizzes and stuff. Okay, so typical grade scale. Make sure you're familiar with D2L. There's an online student orientation that if you haven't used this system before, it's not too painful. It's like 5-10 minutes, but go through everything at the top. So content has notes and quizzes, grades, check your grades, assignments. This is where you turn in assignments. Communication is where the discussion forum is. It's also where the class list is, so you can get in touch with anybody in class. There's some other resources here, so you can pin your class to that entry so that you don't have to search for it every single time. There's a bunch of help resources here. If you want to go to tutoring centers, can help you through it too. So just take some time getting familiar with everything in here. So pull down all of these guys and see what's underneath it. Activities has quizzes. The quiz that shows up in activity is the same that will show up under content. So either way, some of these things, there's a couple different ways to get to the same thing. So make sure you're familiar with all of that. And just every week, so Monday, there will be new content that is added with, and if you're ever confused on what you should be doing, if you go to the very first content, welcome has the schedule, so you can look at that schedule. But just go through new content. There's going to be some kind of a concept quiz. You're going to be continuously working on that project with your team, building, testing, rebuilding. And then there'll be a lab or some kind of an engineering related activity. Okay, so 6 hours a week. And for all of the homeworks and stuff, if you get in a really good group, you can work on everything in this class together as a group. You're turning things in individually, but I would love to see people getting together with one another, divide and conquer, split up. That's how, Engineering Sanity 101 is get with a good study group, say, okay, you do problems 2, 4, 6, I'll do problems 1 through 5, you've just cut your homework in half. Then you get together, you explain what you did to one another. Explaining it helps you learn it. So really, work in groups. We look at student success data. Students that have high GPAs are students that get involved in clubs, students that make study groups. So it's work together. 5 brains is always better than 1. Here are just a couple of projects from past semesters. You can see this is made up out of like PVC pipes and old bike wheels. So they looked at different things you can fill bike tires with so you don't ever get a flat tire. Here's a project that has some 3D printed components, a little steam engine. We've got, a few little electrical components. But I don't want anyone spending a bunch of money on this stuff, like this bicycle, the Foldmobile. This was actually donated from Sprockets just up north of us. So a lot of times companies or neighbors will donate the materials you need and get excited about your project too. So use recycled materials, go to the junkyard, grab stuff that you had laying around in your garage, and have some fun with it. This is a really cool bottle sorter just made out of cardboard. Okay, it's mostly cardboard. It has a little Arduino and some batteries, but duct tape and cardboard work just fine as building materials. You don't have to go out and spend a bunch of money at Lowe's or Home Depot or anything. So, brainstorm ideas this week. Get together in a project group. If you're not in a project group, by next Tuesday, I will put you in a group. And it's much better if you figure that out on your own. So whether you're extroverted or introverted, just, force yourself to get out there, communicate with people, and get yourself in a group of like-minded individuals. That will make all the difference for the semester to get in a really fun and good project group. And you're going to want to get with someone who is not a procrastinator. So again, the first people to post And the people who are most active on that discussion board, that's going to be your best bet for who to work in a project with. And you have to be one of those people. So kind of get in there, be proactive, jump in the discussion board, start up. And it doesn't have to be, you know, a well thought out essay. You can have spelling mistakes or something, but just post, you know, brainstorm, throw ideas around, get to know one another on there. Okay, we will be seeing you around.